Okay, thank you for stopping in. A lot of times I say that, mythology or stories aren't fully well rounded without a historical context or cultural context. And I've been talking a lot about uh, Canaanite deities. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the civilization just to get a handhold on who they are. And this is a civilization that thrived from roughly 3000 BCE to 1000 BCE. It was a civilization that emerged in the ancient Near East. It was diverse, vastly influential culturally, spanning the territories of what is now Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan, parts of Mesopotamia, and even Canaan. It was known for its maritime prowess, the trade networks, and the religious traditions. The Canaanites played a crucial role in the shaping of the early Semitic world. Their civilization, often overshadowed by later cultures such as the Israelites and Phoenicians, was a melting pot of religious, linguistic, and commercial advancements. Now, we know a little about their leadership and some of their kings, and some of the big figures like Heba of Jerusalem and Sinrita of Sidon. We know a lot about some of their major cities, including Tyre, Sidon, Ugarit, Byblos, and Hazor. They were a civilization that developed high merchant trade, and you gained gold from their trade routes. They had a unique defense system in these chariot archers that were faster and more maneuverable than standard chariots, able to retreat while still attacking. They had a unique infrastructure. They are both polytheistic and they had many religions, but they are known for the pantheon of gods that included El, the chief god, Baal, the storm and fertility god, Ashara, who is the mother goddess, Anath, the war goddess, and Mot, who is the god of death. And these deities heavily influenced their religious traditions and later fed into the foundations of both Judaism and Phoenician Carthaginian beliefs. They were known for temples and sacred rites, and Canaanite religion was deeply tied to elaborate temples and altars, often associated with animal and sometimes human sacrifices. The Canaanites, particularly the Ugaritic people, developed one of the earliest alphabets, paving the way for the Phoenician script, which would later influence both Greek and Latin writing. They had good economic and military strength as they were a high seafaring and trade culture. The coastal Canaanite cities like Byblos and Tyre were crucial in the Mediterranean trade, exporting cedar wood, purple dye, and glass. They built strong trade networks with Kemet, Mesopotamia, and Aegean. In terms of military force, they relied on fortified city-states with walls and chariot riders. They frequently engaged in skirmishes against the Kemites and the Hittites and emerging Israelite groups. They often served as middlemen between some of the great empires, working their strategic position in the ancient world, benefiting from both diplomacy and commerce. The legacy is a civilization that laid the groundwork for later powerful cultures, including the Phoenicians, who expanded their maritime dominance, and the Israelites, whose religious traditions would shape the Abrahamic faith. Now, this is a culture that I said thrived from roughly 3000 BC to 1000 BC. But what was going on in other parts of the world? Well, in Mesopotamia, we saw the emergence of the early dynastic period. Sumerian city-states like Ur and Uruk and Lagash were starting to flourish. The Akkadian Empire was getting its establishment. This also saw the rise of the Assyrians as Assyrians began expanding, utilizing military power and innovation. In Kemet, this reflected the time of the Old Kingdom and the age of the pyramids. The Middle Kingdom, which would be from 2050 to 1650 BCE, then the Hyksos invasion from 1650 to 1550, and then the establishment of the New Kingdom, which would last almost to the end, from 1550 to 1070, almost the same time that this Canaanite empire would see its end. In Anatolia, the Hittites were becoming a major power. The advancement of iron tools gave them a military advantage, and they would later clash with Kemet in the Battle of Candish in 1274 BCE against Ramses II. For the Minoan, civilization was centered on Crete. The Minoans built Knossos, which developed a linear writing system and developed a long-distance trade. The Mycenaean civilization was established in approximately 1600 BCE and would run to roughly 1100 BCE, and they were famous for their warriors, their kings, their citadels, and the Trojan War, which is possibly the earliest conflict in the Anatolian states. And we would see the collapse of the Mycenaean civilization in 1100 BCE, which would mark the beginning of the Greek Dark Ages. At the same time in China, roughly 2000 BCE, we were seeing the establishment of the first Chinese dynasty. The Shang dynasty would rise in 1600 BCE and thrive till roughly 1046. So some of the timelines that we're seeing of these empires falling all kind of coincide. In the Americas, there was the Olmec civilization, which was established in roughly 1500 BCE and would thrive until roughly 400 BCE. And the Olmecs of Mesoamerica built early pyramids and developed large stone-head sculptures, which are still studied to this day. So we would see the collapse of the Canaanite civilization in roughly 1200 BCE, which marked the Bronze Age collapse of multiple civilizations. And sea peoples were raiding Kemet, the Hittite Empire crashed, and city-states across eastern Mediterranean fell. So Canaanite cities like Ugarit and Hazor were destroyed, leading to a shift in regional powers. Canaan was at a crossroads of civilization, connecting Kemet, Mesopotamia, and Aegean. Its culture left a lasting impact on alphabet writing, trade, and religion, shaping the Phoenicians and the Israelites who carried Canaanite traditions into the future. If you have more to add, please do so in the comment section, and as always, I ask you hit that like and subscribe.